Hi everybody, it's Gemma. Welcome back to Pampered Wolf. Today I'm going to be doing a review and a wear test on the long-awaited brand new foundation from NYX, the Can't Stop, Won't Stop foundation. Now I know in the US you have had this for quite a number of weeks, and we've had it for a couple of weeks, but only online. And as I don't have very much luck picking shades online, I decided to wait until it became available in stores in the UK, and it became available on Saturday, and I was down there on Saturday queuing up to get shade matched. I cannot wait to try this foundation. This is a matte foundation, and as you know, if you are a regular to my channel, I do not like matte foundations. And the reason I don't like matte foundations is because generally they don't work out well on a more mature skin. If you have any fine lines and wrinkles, they just exaggerate those fine lines and wrinkles. So I am eager to find a matte foundation that suits all skin types. Hopefully this is going to be the one. So if you are interested in finding out whether it is, then please keep watching. Okay, so first things first, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who has already subscribed to my channel. Last Thursday, I hit my 30,000 subscriber mark. I am super grateful. I had already filmed my Thursday's video because I upload on Mondays and Thursdays, and I'd already filmed for the Thursday's video, so I couldn't thank you on that particular video. So I'm just gonna do it now. You're all absolutely amazing, and I love you all. So it's my 1 year YouTube anniversary on the 30th of November. I'm gonna see how many subscribers I can get between now and then, and I'll probably do a little sneaky giveaway on the 30th of November or whenever I upload around about that time, just to mark my 1 year anniversary, because I have loved every single second of it. So let's just get on with this video. Okay, so let me just show you the packaging. Really nice chunky glass bottle, plastic cap lid for safety when you're traveling, and it comes with a pump, which we all know makes me very happy. Let's just do a little bit of info on this product before I get some on my face. Okay, so this is the brand new NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation. You get 30 mils worth of product. It's £15 in the UK and $15 in the US. I just need to take a pause here to give NYX a huge round of applause. This comes in 45 shades, a seriously inclusive product, and I've gone for the shade Warm Vanilla, which I've got to say is the closest shade match I have ever had for my skin. So really well done to NYX for that. Okay, so NYX say that this gives a lightweight matte finish. They also say that this is waterproof and transfer proof and extremely long wearing of up to 24 hours. I'm not going to test the full 24 hours, but I will give it a really long wear test today. They also say that this is non-comedogenic, which is extremely important if you have problematic skin like me that's prone to skin congestion or acne breakouts. That is an extremely important feature in this foundation, so this should not block your pores. This also has shine control technology in here, so you shouldn't go shiny throughout the day, which will be really important if you suffer from oily skin. But they do say that this will suit all skin types. Now, I have never known a matte foundation to truly suit a dry skin. I find that matte foundations sit in the dryness and also make your skin drier. So it will be really interesting to see if this is actually suitable for somebody with more mature skin and also dry skin. So let's get some of this on. Okay, so I've already got my serums and my moisturisers on. As always, I don't wear a primer when I am testing out foundations because each foundation reacts differently with different primers, so it wouldn't be fair to use a primer when I'm using a brand new foundation. So, like I said before, my shade is Warm Vanilla. So let's see what this looks like. It's not the thickest foundation that I've ever put on my face. It's sort of in the middle. It's definitely not loose, but it's not super thick. It's a good sign. I'm actually going to take off just a tiny bit of this product because the last thing I want to do is put too much on, so let's just start off with that and see how we go. As usual, I am going to be using my 103 Define Buffing Brush from Zoeva, which is my favourite. Oh well, I'm gonna need a lot more product because that just disappeared. Just disappeared. Okay. Not very high coverage. Really not very high coverage at all, which I don't mind. This is actually reminding me of the Dior Backstage. It's going on very, very similarly. Apart from the fact that Dior Backstage is extremely loose, very, very liquidy. This is the same amount of cover, which I'm actually quite surprised at because I thought this was going to be super full coverage. It does say it's a full coverage foundation. This is definitely not full coverage. But I like it at the moment. I like it. At the moment, this does not feel drying on my skin at all, which is nice. But again, I'm only just putting it on, so maybe later on it will be awful. But that is a really, really pleasant looking foundation. This is definitely not full coverage. I don't care what they say. This is not a full coverage foundation. Now I've put 2 layers of this foundation on. It looks really pretty on my skin. And matte. I like it. It is sinking in a tiny bit in my drier areas here. But you have to really look up close. Now that might get worse as this dries down into the skin. But at the moment it's looking really, really nice. I'm gonna go and put the rest of my makeup on and I'll be right back. Okay, so I stuck to a very natural look today because I'm just about to head out the door and go to my son's football match. I'm gonna be stood out in the cold for a really long time. So this foundation's really going to be put through the mill today. I really quite like it though. It doesn't feel super matte and super drying. It sank into my pores, so you got that sort of blurring effect on the skin. Quite impressed, even though this is far from full coverage. Far from full coverage. So just to let you know, I will be trying this foundation again tomorrow and I will try and build this up to full coverage. We're going to see how many pumps of foundation it actually takes because this is 2 full pumps of foundation today. And I would say I've got medium coverage. It's a beautiful medium coverage, but medium coverage all the same. So for 2 pumps of foundation, when it says it's a full coverage foundation, I'm a little disappointed, but the foundation itself is really nice. It doesn't look too drying, although it has sat a little bit around here. But it looks really nice and pretty on my skin, which I'm quite surprised at because I got about 2 hours sleep last night. So I was expecting it to look a lot worse than this today. But I like it. I will show you this in natural lighting like I normally do, and I will check in with you throughout the day. I'm going to be at my son's football game, and then I am going to a birthday party, and then going to my dad's later on for a meal. So I will check in with you a little bit later on. It might not be twice, but it definitely will be after quite a few hours. So I'm going to give this quite a good wear test. I will see you all a little bit later on. Okay, so this is what it looks like in natural lighting. Big thick woolly jumper moment going on here because I am just about to head out the door to my son's football game. And it's freezing here. It's seriously turned very autumnal all of a sudden. I'm not really an outdoor girl, so I'm not really looking forward to being freezing cold. But anyway, back to the foundation. This is what it looks like on my skin. You can still see every single imperfection that I've got on my skin. Really badly. Now, although the foundation is really nice and I do like the foundation, like I said before, this is definitely not full coverage, but it looks nice all the same. It sank a little bit into my dry patches, but at the moment it's not sank into any fine lines. There, you can see that really well, that it sank into my dry patches on my chin. The one good thing about this foundation is that I didn't have to set it in place like most matte foundations. I don't need to set them in place because they are quite drying on the skin anyway. This doesn't feel drying on the skin though. It feels quite hydrating if I'm being completely honest, which is unheard of for a matte foundation, but it still has those matte foundation traits of sinking into dryness. The jury is out, but I will check in with you a little bit later on and see how this foundation's going. See you all in a bit. Welcome back to the check-in. It's now been 4 hours since this has been on my face, and it doesn't look any different. I'm not gonna lie, it looks no different whatsoever. This hasn't sank into my fine lines or wrinkles at all, but it has made them a little bit more evident and made my skin not feel dry, but look a little bit dry. Having said that, it's not got any worse on my chin area. It does look like here that it sank into my fine line. It really hasn't. It just looks a little bit dry around that area. And my smile lines look a little bit more evident, but there's no foundation sank into those lines whatsoever. Now, like I said earlier, this hasn't been powdered, so could have moved, but it hasn't done, and it still feels really nice on my skin. Feels a little bit powdery, but very, very soft. So I'll check in with you a little bit later on and show you how it's gone on. Hi everybody, welcome back to the check-in. It's now 7:45 at night. It's more or less dark outside, so the natural lighting is really fading. I am in front of a window. I'm trying my best to give you this in natural lighting. But I've had this on my face now for just over 11 hours. It's done really well, and it's still very matte. It's not sank into any fine lines or wrinkles, although like I said earlier, after about 4 hours, it hadn't sank into them, but it was emphasising my fine lines and wrinkles. It's emphasised the fine lines and wrinkles on my forehead. This is just what a matte foundation does. I'm not holding it against this foundation because it's worn really beautifully throughout the day. I'm going to try it again tomorrow with a primer to see how it goes and see how many pumps of foundation I need to make this full coverage, because this is 2 full pumps of foundation, and like I said earlier, this is definitely not full coverage. Now you can still see on my chin area that it has still settled into my dryness, and there is slightly less foundation on the end of my chin here. Other than that, it's done quite well. I've got to say I've been quite impressed by this foundation today. It hasn't felt cakey, it hasn't separated around my nose, it hasn't looked overly drying, which most matte foundations do. Another really good thing about this foundation is when I put the rest of my products on top of it earlier on, they blended seamlessly and effortlessly on top of this foundation. It still has the blurring capabilities after this length of time. My skin still looks pretty airbrushed, and after 11 hours, that's impressive. That really is impressive. So I'm going to try it with a primer tomorrow, and I will check in with you and let you know how I get on. So welcome to day 2 of testing out the brand new NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Full Coverage Foundation. Yesterday I had excellent results from this foundation, although it did sit into a few dry patches on my skin, and I didn't get full coverage with 2 full pumps of foundation, but I didn't use a primer. So today I decided I was going to use a primer, and it was going to be more of an illuminating primer that would moisturize my drier areas, so hopefully it wouldn't sit in those dry areas, and I was going to try and build it up to full coverage, which I have definitely managed to do with slightly less product than I thought it would take. So yesterday I used 2 full pumps of foundation and didn't feel like this really gave me full coverage, but it felt super lightweight on my skin all day. And it did not budge. That foundation it just didn't move. And it didn't go oily even around my nose area and on my chin area. Had slightly less foundation on my chin area by the end of the day yesterday, but it was after 11 hours. This stuff just sticks to the face. It really does. Absolutely fantastic, and it looks lovely as well. So this is the look that I've ended up with today. I have built this up to full coverage. It took 2.5 pumps of foundation and a primer. So this is the Maybelline Master Prime Illuminating Primer. I put this all over my face before I applied the product. To be fair, I was thinking that this was going to take a lot more product to give a full coverage look. And even though I did use this foundation, it did firstly sink into a few dry patches. However, they are looking a little bit better now. Not massively better. And to be quite honest, if you have really dry skin, this is not a foundation that I would recommend for you. I'm not surprised, because if you've got really dry skin, I would tend not to recommend any matte foundations for you. But if you've got normal skin or normal to oily skin, this stuff is the business. It's really, really nice. Now, even though I've got 2.5 pumps of foundation on my face, I mean, you can definitely tell I have foundation on my face. It doesn't look skin-like. Like yesterday was a really pretty look. I really liked the way the foundation looked on my face, even though it was a matte foundation. Shock horror. But today, I do feel like I've got more of a mask on because it's super full coverage, but it doesn't feel like I have a mask on my face. And I think that is the big difference here. This is a super lightweight foundation. It feels absolutely gorgeous, and you do not need to set this in place. I went all day yesterday without setting it in place, and it did not budge. Now, although this has sank into some dry areas again today, I don't feel like this is a matte foundation that dries out the skin, even though it's got shine control in there, and I'm not quite sure how it does this. Usually when I wear a matte foundation and it has shine control in there, it dries out my skin as the day goes on, and my skin just looks worse and worse until my natural oils come through and hydrate my skin a little bit. This doesn't seem to be one of those foundations. It's a matte foundation that doesn't feel drying. It will sink into your dry patches, so it will look a little bit dry around your drier areas, but it won't dry them out any more than they already are, which I think is a great positive for this foundation. This is one of those foundations that is extremely flattering on camera. I'm just going to zoom you in a little bit just so you can see the dry areas around my chin. Because of the lights here, you can't really see this far away, so I'm going to zoom you in just 1 second. Okay, so hopefully you can see that my drier areas do look a little bit dry. It's just exaggerated my dry areas a little bit because this foundation has sat into the dryness. But everywhere else is amazing. Okay, so in summary, I think this foundation is absolutely stunning. It's actually overtaken my favourite matte foundation, which is the Dior Backstage Face and Body. And I love that foundation. If I was going for a matte look, that would be the foundation that I choose, but not anymore. Probably this one. I would recommend this foundation if you have oily skin, if you have normal skin, if you have combi skin. And if you can put up with it sinking into a few dry patches, then I would also recommend it if you have slightly dry skin. But I definitely wouldn't recommend this if you have seriously dry skin. I don't think this is going to work for you. So I am going to test this out over the next few days. I'm going to see whether I can master it to stop it from settling in my drier areas. I'm going to use different primers and maybe different moisturisers to see whether I can stop that from happening. If I do manage to tackle that problem, then I will give an update in the description box below just to let everybody know what I used and how I overcame it, because this is such a beautiful foundation. This is the only area that I have a problem with sitting in my dry patches, because doesn't look as flattering as the rest of my face. It's such a lovely foundation. Now, I'm not going to do a check-in with you today. If there is any difference to the check-in from yesterday, I will update you in the description box. It's only I've got to upload today and I don't have time to do a check-in on upload days. So I will put an update in the description box if anything has changed. So I'm also going to test this one out on my mum to see whether it looks nice on her. Please check my Instagram page if you would like to know what that looks on her, but I will also put an update in the description box below about that as well. But if you actually want to see what it looks like, I will put a photograph of her on my Instagram page if she agrees to it, because I've not even checked with her yet. I'm just assuming that she'll be okay with this. I really shouldn't do that, because I've just told you all, and now you're all expecting it. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, please do give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget I'm also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Instagram is more of an insight into my personal life, so you'll see my kids and what we get up to on a daily basis, as well as the whole makeup world. So if you're interested in that, then please don't forget to follow me on Instagram as well. Hopefully you've subscribed to my channel already. If you haven't, there is a watermark in this corner. If you click on it, it will take you through to my homepage where you can subscribe. Hope to see you all again soon. Bye!